Try not to kill anybody.
Yes. It's kind of my first focus right now.
Hello! We are
Annie and Konstantin.
and you're watching another episode of
Updates from the car. So this week has been all about preparation once again, because next week we're going to start shooting episode 2 of the Depression and Anxiety Life Hacks.
and episode 2 is going to be even longer and even more elaborate than the episodes before.
Maybe we shouldn't say longer, that sounds so threatening and scary.
It will contain more information.
That's the thing, I wrote episode 2 just, writing everything that I could think of for that subject, including a bunch of research and all of that. And I was fully expecting Konstantin to read it and go, no. God, no. No. We're going to cut the hell out of this. And he read it and he's like, yeah, this is great, let's start shooting. And I'm like, but there's so much of it.
Yeah, and I think that's not a bad thing, because there are a lot of topics that are covered, and I think this is a thing where you can't have too much input.
It's true. The Depression and Anxiety Life Hacks are not pure entertainment, really. And I think what I like them for most, and what I've gotten the best feedback about, is that they're things you can watch when you're not feeling great. And they're positive and hopeful, because there's, the whole point of the Depression and Anxiety Life Hacks is to look at your life with depression and anxiety and go, I can manage that. I can deal with that. And I think for that, the episodes are just kind of good company. When you're not feeling great, but you're, well enough to want to get better, that's what episode 2 is going to be about. And then it doesn't need to be a, 3-minute quick in and out, 10 things to do to make everything better, because it's a much more complex issue than that. It's not an easy fix sort of situation. And so we need to treat it as such. So we can't do a, 3-minute top 10 things to make your life awesome with depression and anxiety. So it's going to be a little longer, but, I have 4 yellow shirts, so we're going to be fine.
Besides that, the never-ending story with Le Moucteur is about to get yet another chapter. There has been a rough script for the voiceover for Le Moucteur, and now we're going to polish it today and tomorrow. And the plan is for now to actually do a recording session in the beginning of February, which is going to be the last thing that needs to be done, and then the short film can be completed. So this is a thing we're going to work on a little bit later, this day and tomorrow. And besides that, we ordered some more stuff thanks to the wonderful support of the verfasste Studierenschaft of the Hochschule der Medien, which will allow us to shoot the second episode of the Depression and Anxiety Life Hacks at even faster pace with a better quality, because we'll get light and we get a control monitor, and it is going to make our work way more efficient.
We are going to the student office thing of the University of Stuttgart, Central Stuttgart campus, where they have a document that says that I am no longer a student of theirs. I need that piece of paper to prove to the world that I am no longer a student here. Because in a bureaucratic society such as ours, it is very important that you always have a piece of paper that says whether you are or are not a part of anything at all. I get really excited by bureaucracy sometimes because it has this obnoxious elegance to it. Like, it's just so ridiculous. Like, it's one of those things that remind you that reality sometimes is so much stranger than fiction, Okay, I worked international orientation, and a cool thing that happens at international orientation is that new international students have to jump through a lot of hoops. I would sell that to my students as a kind of game, like, you have to go through these 5 steps to, win the prize of being enrolled as a student. I'm kind of doing the opposite thing right now, where I'm trying to not be enrolled as a student anymore. And for that, I need that piece of paper that I mentioned. Now to get that piece of paper, I first need to fill out this fun form. And then I need, within that fun form, a stamp from the libraries that says, I do not owe you any money or other things, which is what I'm doing right now. So we're now going back to the student office where I hope they will give me a blue form where I need a stamp from someone else. So you walk in there and it has 6 desks, right? Because they split up responsibility by last name. So everybody looks up at you and just kind of tries to gauge your last name situation. And of course the lady with, my last name responsibility isn't there. So then everyone's responsible for me, which makes me a trouble candidate already. And the desk that I actually went to had a postcard pinned to the side of it that says, "You are not your job," which I think is a beautiful postcard when you're working in bureaucracy. And then there's, on the opposite wall, there's a bunch of boxes. And I wanted to take a photo but didn't really dare to. There's all these boxes that have like letter and number combinations and they're all upside down. So it looks like, alien invasion anyway. And then the desk straight ahead suddenly moves up. Like the entire desk goes zoom and like lifts out of nowhere. And it's just, all these combinations of these beautiful things. Well, all you need is a piece of paper that doesn't even have a signature or a stamp or, magnetic strip or magic spell attached to it. It's just a piece of paper that says, you are no longer a student here, which is not a thing in the US. It's not a thing I'm used to. It's just a piece of paper that says, you are free, my friend. And I am free now. I am free to move on to other things, and we are free to move on with our day.
I think what I've been thinking the most last week is some sort of it's this theme of personality and the fact that it seems like for most people there's a certain point where your character stops developing so much. So basically you go through a lot of changes, through a lot of emotional development until the age of about 30. Mm-hmm. And then basically you are who you are. And by that time you usually know yourself well enough so you know what's good for you, what doesn't work for you, things like that. And it's kind of interesting to talk to people whom you have known for a long time and who just now arrive at that stage. In particular, what I mean with that is I've met with my brother a couple of days ago. And it's kind of interesting how our relationship has changed while I myself was changing and he was changing. We're 5 years apart. So there's always been some sort of a gap between us, intellectually and emotionally and whatever. But now the gap is slowly closing, which is kind of neat. Because now I'm 28, I think I reached the peak of my development, if you will. And my brother is on his way to catch up, basically. So the nature of our discussions changed, and of course the way I see him also changed, because more and more we're getting to be on the same level. So it's not this big brother, little brother anymore, but it's just a general mutual understanding, which is kind of nice and kind of interesting, and it's fun to see it already, because we're at different levels. We're not at par, but it won't be that long. It's a couple of years, and we will be like at the same level, and I'm really looking forward to it. So this is just not that of spectacular. It's only just a fun thing I've been thinking about last couple of days.
It's really nice. While the first week of the year was very much about being terrified of the new year and of the old year and of all the years before, this last week has been more about potential and progress. It's been about looking at this pretty significant amount of time that lies ahead of me, and wondering what I and what we with KAs, in general, can get done in that year. And there's a lot. I mean, we're about ready to start shooting the second episode of the Depression Anxiety Life Hacks. We have several other episodes kind of planned already and starting to map them out. And a lot is going to happen this year. 2016, I think, is going to be a very, very good year for me and for us, and I hope for the world. It's not starting off so smoothly, geopolitically. But I see a lot of potential for really good progress. And that's a very exciting place to be. It's weird because this week has felt so profound, yet I have no actually profound words that I can throw out at you that are still somewhat, charming and understandable. I feel like I'm learning a lot right now. I don't quite know what yet. Also, I really don't have a coherent epiphany, so I'm really just rambling at the camera for, 45 minutes before I have to go to work, and then Konstantin is going to have to cut out individual words and turn it into a text of some kind. I'm trying to move as little as possible, so that's, possible. I'm also going to use very little inflection so that you don't notice that he just plucked together this whole new epiphany. Future is hope and believing, but for hope, future was hope. Do you need me to say any more keywords?
Thank you.
We are currently walking across the University of Stuttgart campus because in the middle of the University of Stuttgart campus, hugged by the rest of campus, is Stuttgart Media University, which is a pretty nifty little school consisting of 4 buildings? Anyway, the good people of Stuttgart Media University created a master's program that allows people to research and study good things. Anyway, I'm holding here in my hands my application for the Master of Media Research program of Stuttgart Media University, which is a master's degree in which, for 3 semesters, I get to research and study good things. Specifically, I get to study what we are currently calling social filmmaking, which is basically exactly what we're trying to do with Konstitutionelle Anarchie. And I'm applying for a master's degree to do all of that. I don't actually have the words to describe to you how exciting this is right now. I am a big, big fan of education. I am a huge fan of academia in general. I love the university context. I love studying in the professional world where you've, specialized to the specific things you want to do with your life and the special ways in which you want to actually change the world somehow. I am a little tipsy, which I don't know if you can tell if you haven't, met me in real life. Anyway, I have been wanting to go back to school since I got out of school. I am currently applying for a master's degree that isn't just, a pretty cool master's degree that would be fun. I'm applying for the perfect master's degree. Like a master's degree that was basically created by the heavens for just me. And I'm applying for a project that was actually created for just me. And I'm feeling very, very special. And so, right now, we are walking across campus in the middle of the night because what better time to do it? There's the romance and endless possibility of the middle of the night when anything can happen. And what is happening right now is that I'm applying for this really perfect degree program. And this is me at peak nerd excitement. This is really, really exciting because we've been doing updates for over half a year now, and we've been reporting things that we've been doing. But right now we're actually taking you along to a pretty freaking major event in my life. And I know that turning in an application and putting a letter in a mailbox is an incredibly nerdy thing to get excited about. But this is pretty huge. Like...
Get to it.
Please note that while applying for my master's degree at Stuttgart Media University, which is a pretty badass, amazing university, I'm wearing University of Kansas sweatpants. Because I know my roots. And I'm actually off to do great things. I am really excited right now. Like, this is a really good moment, and I have no coherent things to say. I'm just really excited.
Hello!